We may see some views of NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg as he continues to step through those procedures ahead of hatch opening. This is a view looking at the A-Pass hatch. Of course, it's not quite open yet, but here shortly we will see it be able to be opened up once all those pressure checks are completed. And this is a view from outside the International Space Station of Crew Dragon Endurance docked to the orbital outpost. Inside are 4 human beings: NASA astronaut Jasmine Mugbelly, ESA astronaut Andy Mogensen, JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Konstantin Borisov. They docked to space station at 8:16 a.m. Central Time, following their launch from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida yesterday at 2:27 a.m. Central.
Dragon, Houston on the big loop. Hardline audio configuration is complete. Please do a comm check.
Houston, Dragon copies. I have you loud and clear. How me? And we'll do station next.
Dragon, Houston, I have you loud and clear.
Station, Dragon, comm check. How do you hear?
Dragon Station has you loud and clear. How me?
We have you the same.
And that was a communications check between Dragon Endurance and the International Space Station. Everything checking out well.
SpaceX Dragon on the big loop. Suits are drying.
Copy, Dragon. Suits are drying. And Dragon, let us know when it's okay for us to come back on board.
Wilco, not quite yet.
SpaceX copies.
And with that call, we may shortly be getting some views back inside Crew Dragon Endurance. The crew has removed their spacesuits and has them in a drying configuration as they wait to come aboard the International Space Station.
Station, Houston on the big loop for leak check status.
Go ahead, Amy.
Hey, just want to let you know we're expecting about another 10 minutes or so to confirm that the leak check is good.
All right, we copy. Thanks for the update.
While NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg continues to step through those procedures to repressurize the vestibule, his crewmates are enjoying a day off. On board the International Space Station currently are 7 human beings. Those include NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Prokopyev, Dmitry Petelin, and Andrei Fadayev, as well as NASA astronauts Steve Bowen, Woody Hoberg, and then UAE astronaut Sultan Al-Nayadi. Once Crew-7 floats aboard the International Space Station, there will be 11 humans on board until Crew-6 departs here in a short time.
I assume we got all of step 3 and 4 complete as well, correct? Good work. Flight ADCO for procedure deviation. ADCO? The flight, our procedure has us incorporate this new CCD slot going from the one we did for ACS voting over to our normal slot with only a degree of error. However, due to an issue with our current mass properties that GNC engineering is working on, our steady state attitude error is a little bit north of a degree, so we're right about 1.4 degrees. In order to, I have no issue incorporating this given our steady state attitude error is above a degree, but the procedure does state that we shouldn't hand over above a degree. My recommendation is still to incorporate the new slot, but I needed to come to you for the go for that. Why does the procedure say you shouldn't hand over above a degree? It increases momentum, so we'll see for the shorthand an increase in momentum after incorporating this new increase in momentum, but I mean, we don't expect any thruster firings or something. I mean, it might lead to a desat. And that's the reason why? It is, yes, that is the reason why. So, no harm in doing the desat though, right? There is no harm in doing the desat at this point, no. Okay. And what would be the alternative? The alternative would be handing over to Russian attitude control for them to drive down our attitude error, and then handing back over to handing over to the controller with low attitude error. So those are our only 2 options that we have. Either way, we use thrusters, right? Correct. We ran into this issue last week after the PDAS and the OPM. Yeah. Okay.
And Flight Spartan, we have unlocked our starters, so if we do hand over to active Russian tester control, we need to go to relock our starters.
No, I understand. But you're good for CMGTA with thruster firings at this point, right?
And that would be my preference.
Okay.
Instead of having to hand back.
Yep, I understand. You have a go to incorporate the 1.4 degree error.
Copy, go.
Flight PAO. PAO.
Flight
right, MD. We're currently in our acceptance criteria.
Beyond
for that, so we should
that,
be able to keep
for
going.
the welcoming remarks, just a note that this is Jedi message 963, whenever it happens. And again, as we discussed earlier, if we can't make 1530, we may have to default to the next KU opportunity, which we'll do. It's on the Node 2 encoder, audio and video down.
Hold on a second. Let's see. So, MD, you said we're in our acceptance criteria? Affirm, we're just chatting out with Ethos real quick here. Okay.
And Flight Ethos, I can confirm we had a good vestibule leak check, and we're go to complete our vestibule pressurization, which gives crew a go to proceed to ingress Part 2 activity.
Okay. Capcom, we're go for Woody to proceed to Part 2 ingress activity.
Station Houston on Station Ground 2 for Woody.
Amy, with you on 2.
We've had a good vestibule leak check, so you are go for the Part 2 activity in Step 3.1.
I copy. Good news. Copy go in 3.1.
Let's see, ICE and Ethos, now that we're in the Part 2 vestibule, any idea how long before we can open the hatch from this point? One moment, please.
And Flight Ethos, from my perspective, I see a good APAS equalization, but I know there are other steps in the hatch opening path that take minutes rather than instantaneous.
Yep.
And we are getting a view of NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg as he continues to step through those hatch opening procedures. Hoberg was working to install some padding on the APAS hatch to help outfit it to protect it.
Let's see, PAO, I think my ballpark estimate is going to be about 30 minutes from now. We'll probably open the hatch.
Copy. We'll just play along as we go here. It'll be on the Node 2 encoder, audio and video down for the welcoming remarks. Capcom will go up on 2, referencing message 963. And when the crew's all on board, we'll need a scene and voice check as usual.
Copy. And flight ice, we can for about 35 minutes.
And we did hear that vestibule repressurization was successful, as you can see on your screen. Woody Hoberg continuing to step through procedures ahead of hatch opening. We are expecting a hatch opening to occur around 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, if all continues to go smoothly with the operations. And this view of Crew Dragon Endurance inside our 4 astronauts, NASA astronaut Jasmine Mogbelli, ESA astronaut Andy Mogensen, JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Konstantin Borisov. They docked to the International Space Station at 8:16 a.m. Central Time and are now working through procedures on their end as well ahead of hatch opening around 10 a.m. Central Time. This view back inside the space station as Hoberg continues to step through those procedures. We did see him installing some padding on the APAS hatch. The APAS hatch is the androgynous peripheral assembly system. He installed that padding to help outfit it ahead of the hatch opening. And you can see him now. He has a flashlight. He's going to visually inspect the hatch, make sure everything looks good before the hatch can actually be opened up. And that APAS hatch now open. So with that APAS hatch open, that's not quite the end of the process here. There's one more hatch to open on the Dragon side. So the crew on both space station and inside Endurance are working through procedures to open up that hatch next, and then they'll welcome the Crew-7 astronauts on board. As you can see, Hoberg now using that flashlight to inspect the hatch on the Dragon side, make sure everything is looking good, no foreign object debris or FOD, before they do go ahead and open up that hatch here shortly. We are going to stand by for the pressure to just equal out between the space station hatch and the Dragon hatch.
Houston Station on 2, APAS hatch is open, negative condensation.
We copy all, Frank. Thank you.
And this is a view This is a view inside Mission Control Houston. NASA Flight Director Judd Freeling, who you see on the console there with the flowers, led the team through docking operations this morning. The crew here in Houston continuing to work alongside the crew on board the space station, namely NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg, as he steps through procedures ahead of hatch opening. The APAS hatch, or the station side hatch, is now open. We're standing by for that pressure to equal out between the Dragon hatch and the station hatch before the Dragon hatch can be opened. As NASA continues to live and work in low Earth orbit, humanity's home in space for over 20 years, we're also working with commercial industry on commercial LEO destinations to ensure there is no gap in low Earth orbit. So let's check out this video to learn more about the commercialization of low Earth orbit.
The ground will no longer be available for comm.
LEO. It stands for low Earth orbit. That's a portion of outer space about 250 miles up. And for over 20 years, it's been home to the world's most unique laboratory, the International Space Station. In this weightless environment, the space station has enabled scientific and engineering breakthroughs that just weren't possible on Earth. It's taught us more about our planet, physics and biology, and it's preparing humans to travel farther from home than ever before. And as the space station approaches its end of life, America will maintain leadership in LEO by enabling a new era of commercial spaceflight. Through the Commercial LEO Development Program, NASA is working with industry partners to develop the first generation of commercial space destinations. These will be privately owned and operated space facilities, where NASA will be just one of many customers. This new orbital economy will stimulate commerce and usher in the next generation of aerospace engineering, opening the door for scientific discoveries and private astronauts, allowing NASA to continue its critical research in LEO, supporting deep space exploration and bringing those benefits back home to Earth.
And if you're just joining us, Crew-7 successfully docked to the International Space Station at 8:16 a.m. Central Time this morning. The crew is working through procedures to open up the hatches between Space Station and Dragon.
SpaceX Dragon for food and water inventory when available.
And Dragon, I'm with you on the big loop for inventory.
Okay, regarding water, all bottles consumed from bag 201 and 202. Regarding bag 203, 4 out of 5 bottles consumed. How copy?
Copy, Satoshi. All water consumed from 201 and 202, and 4 of 5 bottles consumed on 203.
Good copy. Regarding food, bag 301, 3 quarters consumed. And 302, also 3 quarters consumed. 309er, also 3 quarters consumed. 310, also 3 quarters consumed. How copy?
Copy, Satoshi. 3 quarters of food consumed on bags 301, 302, 309er, 310.
Good copy, thanks.
And Satoshi, one clarification, does the water count include the bottle for 4.400 section 5?
Affirmative.
Great, thank you.
And that was JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa calling down to the core about water usage that was drank on the way to space station. There's a very methodical way that the Dragon is packed with the cargo in order to have the proper weight distribution, and SpaceX keeps track of this throughout the mission in order to ensure everything is as it should be in the correct place ahead of re-entry.
Houston and SpaceX, station on the Big Loop. Station is ready for Dragon hatch equalization.
Houston copies.
Flight Ethos copies. Once the Dragon crew is also ready, we're expecting the equalization to take about 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll tell them once they're ready.
Ethos copies.
And with that call, Hoberg reporting that the space station side is ready to begin the equalization process. We'll stand by for the Dragon side to be ready for that step as well. Once that equalization process occurs, the team will verify that everything went smoothly with it, and then at that point, the hatch will be good to be open between the space station and Endurance.
And Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop for a couple of items.
Go ahead for Dragon.
Hey, Dragon. Just wanted to double check if we could come back on board with video. Let us know when you're ready for that. In addition, we can perform the equalization while you are completing Section 5 of 4.400. Just let us know when you're ready for equalization.
We're doing Section 5 now, and we're ready for equalization. The only thing we need to do is doff our undergarments and change into flight suits, so hang on with coming internal with the cameras, please.
Okay, Dragon. Thanks for the update.
And with that call, we may expect to get views back inside Crew Dragon Endurance once the crew finishes getting changed. They did take off their spacesuits in order to get them into a drying configuration. The next major milestone that we'll be tracking is for the pressure to equalize between Endurance and the space station before the hatch can be opened.
So I copied that the Dragon crew is ready for hatch equalization, so once we get AOS here, we'll let everybody know that it's going to take 2 minutes.
MD copies, that sounds good, and once you're good, then make a call to them. We can go ahead and send the hatch open prep command, which would begin that equalization.
Agreed. Flight etiquette for timeline. Can't go. I like to go to reconfigure our GPS unit. Yeah, we go to reconfigure GPS. Copy, go.
Flight ethos for timeline.
Go ahead.
Flight, we're into our block for node 3 Cedra activation. I'd like to push this a little bit to the right until we get crew on board and finish out our docking and ingress.
Okay, that's fine. I'm assuming it's not a big deal if we delay bringing up node 3 Cedra.
Correct. These half cycles are for having extra crew come on board, so we just need to get them activated before we get too far into the crew day.
Copy.
Station and Dragon, Houston on the big loop. And Station and Dragon, Houston on the big loop.
Dragon, ready to copy?
Stand by for equalization. It's expecting to take 2 minutes.
Dragon copies.
And station copies.
MD, you can equalize.
Flight MD.
Yeah, you can go ahead and equalize.
Thank you much.
And both the station side and the Dragon side have been given the go for the equalization process to begin. Expecting that to take about 2 minutes. Once the pressure is equalized, teams here on the ground will complete leak checks to make sure that everything is as expected, and then the go will be given to open up the hatch. And here is a view from inside the International Space Station. You can see that a pass hatch is open.
So when we've been having these GPS-2 signatures that did trigger a collection of onboard cautions as are visible to the crew on their displays, we'd like your go to do some cleanup. We're going to keep one of the onboard cautions up just so in the event that the vehicle woke up, they would have that awareness or the need to do an emergency departure. However, we wanted to clear the rest of them out such that if we did have that signature again, they would trigger and notify the crew and the ground team. So we'd like to have your go for that cleanup, and then we'll let the crew know and then go ahead and clean those up.
Yeah, you can clean up your cautions.
Big copies, thanks.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for alert reconfiguration.
Go for Dragon.
Dragon, we've been evaluating the GPS-2 alerts on your board and are going to clear most of those. We're going to keep the AGPS-2 filter faulted walk-off on the board so you have insight that that receiver is still down. How copy?
Dragon copies all.
Good news, and clarification, degraded performance, not hard down.
Dragon copies degraded performance.
And the endurance equalization process is underway. If you're just joining us this morning, Crew-7 has arrived to the International Space Station following their launch Saturday morning from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We are standing by for the hatches to open here a short time from now. The A-Pass hatch, or the hatch on the space station side, has already been opened, as you can see here on your screen. We are just waiting for that pressure to equalize out between the A-Pass hatch and the hatch on Crew Dragon. Once that pressure is equalized, the team here on the ground will do some checks, make sure everything looks okay, and then the go will be given to go ahead and open up that hatch, at which point we'll see Crew-7 float through the hatch and be welcomed aboard their home for the next 6 months, the International Space Station.
Flight Robo. Robo. Just for your awareness, there's a couple activities coming up related to the MT Translate. I'm expecting all those to get delayed. I think it's Cronus and ADCO activities. I'll be working with them.
Copy, yeah, great. Hey, Spartan, how is the port starboard starge looking?
And Flight Spartan, both starters are back in auto track. We are not seeing any indications that terminal bearing 7 on the port starge is seized any longer, and the starge is tracking target angle just fine.
That's great news.
Concur.
We're continuing to stand by for that pressure to equal out between Endurance and the International Space Station. Again, we're continuing to stand by for that pressure to equalize out before the hatch can be open and Crew-7 can float aboard the International Space Station. Once they are on board, following a welcoming ceremony, they will take part in a safety briefing, which is typical for arriving crew members to Space Station. This safety briefing will be led by Space Station Commander Sergei Prokopyev and will officially kick off the handover period between Crew 6 and Crew 7. Crew 6 is slated to undock from the International Space Station no earlier than September 2nd, but this will be monitored and refined in the coming days. And we're getting views again of NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg floating inside the International Space Station as he continues to step through those procedures ahead of hatch opening. He does have the APAS hatch open already. That's the space station side hatch, while we continue to stand by for pressure to equalize.
We will still keep the Tedra's Crom for another hour and 45 minutes.
All right, TMD, you agree we can release SpaceX Tedra's Critical? Yes, that I can confirm. We can release Tedra's Critical. We still have a rest band up, but we'll be taking that down as soon as we open the hatch. But go to release Critical.
Okay, GC, you can release SpaceX Critical and CC Complex. GC copies.
And this view from inside Mission Control Houston. NASA Flight Director Judd Freeling did lead the team this morning in docking operations. That docking occurred at 8:16 a.m. Central.
The big loop for next steps.
SpaceX Dragon, we are ready for next steps, and we're also ready for cameras to go internal.
Excellent, Dragon. We'll put that in work, and I wanted to let you know that the vestibule and capsule are equalized, so we are ready for hatch open.
And you heard that go for hatch open. The vestibule was repressurized and everything checking out. Short time from now, we should expect to see Crew 7 float aboard the International Space Station.
SpaceX Dragon copies, and we will go ahead and open the forward hatch at this time.
Copy, Dragon. You are go for hatch opening per the decal, followed by 4.400 section 6.
And as you can see here, NASA astronaut Woody Hobart continuing to step through those procedures ahead of hatch opening. The Crew-7 astronauts are also getting things configured and will join the 7-person crew onboard station, bringing the total crew members on station to 11 here shortly.
Yes, sir. Checking with the other parties, it does sound like they want Frank to be prime or on call, so no reconfiguration needed. This activity can be aborted.
Aborted. Okay. Copy. Capcom, our mistake. Frank's absolutely right. We'll keep him as the on-call person.
SpaceX Dragon on the big loop, hatch is open.
And SpaceX copies, hatch is open. And crew, if you could complete section 6 of 4.400, and then just a reminder that this starts the LIO clock.
Copy completing section 6 of 4.400 and copy on the LIO clock.
And we did hear that call out that the hatch was opened at 9:58 a.m. Central. NASA astronaut Woody Hobart is now going to work to install IMV ducting to help mix the air of the space station environment with the air inside Crew Dragon. And they're also working to seal some of the LiO, or lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside the Dragon capsule on the ride to the International Space Station. The crew will also check some vent valves as well, so it may just be... And we are getting views back inside Crew Dragon Endurance of Crew-7, first time since they've docked to the International Space Station. Great to see them on board. May just be a little bit more time until we do welcome them on board as they continue those preparations, but these last final checks are critical to make sure everything is good to go, since it will remain docked to the International Space Station for the next 6 months.
Flight Rio.
Rio.
Yes, flight. Both HSG and Rio, we completed our tasks for today, and with your permission, we would like to go on call.
All right. Anybody need Rio or HSG? All right. Rio, you are released, and HSG, can you call the FOD phone? I can give you the number if you don't have it.
Rio, copy.
And flight, I'll need that number.
So 33393.
And flight
Ice.
both Dragon and ISS CT2 transmitters are off.
Copy.
Flight Edco.
Edco.
Yeah, neither of our GPS units accepted the request command for their rel nav mode. Our star block has to send that up to 5 times light. I'd like to go to resend this command.
You can resend.
And first through the hatch is the commander of Crew-7, Jasmine Mogbelli, her first time on board the International Space Station. Next up we have Andy Mogensen, ESA astronaut. This is his second space flight. And coming through the hatch now is JAXA astronaut Satoshi Furukawa. This is his second mission to space as well. And next through the hatch is Konstantin Borisov of Roscosmos, his first time on board the International Space Station as well. And with that, Crew-7 is successfully on board the International Space Station, their home for the next 6 months.
Flight VVO for on-call.
VVO.
Flight, I've completed all my tasks for the day, and I'm ready to take the VVO console on-call.
All right, anybody need VVO before it takes off? Sorry, VVO, you released?
In-flight surgeon.
Surgeon?
Yes, sir. The PMCs are set up. The remote parties are standing by whenever they come due, and we would like to take the ISS surgeon console on call with that.
Anybody need surgeon before it takes off? Surgeon, you're released.
Thank you, sir.
And if you're just joining us, Crew-7 just floated aboard the International Space Station after hatches were opened at 9:58 a.m. Central. That was following a docking that occurred at 8:16 a.m. Central. It was almost a 30-hour ride to orbit as they launched from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 2:27 a.m. Central.
You're released, Topo. Thanks, Mike.
And you can see lots of excitement there. Crew going to work on securing a few items and getting everything squared away ahead of a welcome ceremony slated to begin here shortly.
We can delay whatever they think they'll be ready, what time they think they'll be ready.
Houston Dragon, IMV duct installation complete. Go for IMV fan activation.
Houston copies. We'll put that in work.
If you're just joining us, Crew-7 had the hatches open at 9:58 a.m. Central Time following a docking at 8:16 a.m. Central. We're standing by for a welcome ceremony here slated to begin shortly. The crew is just configuring some items inside Crew Dragon, setting up the cameras and preparing for that welcoming ceremony. This is the view inside Endurance. You can see the spacesuits there. They're in a drying configuration. The crew has changed out of those spacesuits clearly and are now in their flight suits.
Houston, Dragon, do we have a go in step 6.3 of 2.102 to open location 23 and check for debris under panel?
Checking.
See who's got that one. So is that you or ICE? 6.3, go.
And we're getting views now inside the International Space Station. The crew is working to set up for the welcome event. You see Woody Hoberg, NASA astronaut with the microphone in his hand. He was prime for hatch opening operations this morning.
PAO, you ready for scene and voice check?
Flight, we're ready for a scene and voice check when the crew is, or when we have KU.
Yeah.
Flight X, we're go for the live cartridge.
Okay, what are we waiting for the LIO cartridge? To open location 23. What specifically criteria are we looking for in 6.3?
I'm on flight.
PAO?
Flight X. ICE. That MCT go is just waiting to make sure that the IMC configuration is configured.
Okay, and that has been configured.
And we are standing by for a welcome event slated to begin here shortly. You do see NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg with the microphone in his hand there. He is completing a scene and voice check.
This is required for us to change out our LIO cartridge within 20 minutes for this, put the seal on.
Copy, Jaws. We need to send 2 commands to get the IMV configured, so stand by. Shortly we'll be able to give you a go for 6.3.
Dragon copy, standing by.
Yes, Flight.
Did we like scene and voice?
I'd like another voice check. Seems good. Get everybody in the field of view. We can get another long count.
Okay, another long count.
Long count on the wireless mic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
And
6,
Dragon
7,
Houston on Space Ground
8,
2, you have a go
9,
in 6.3.
10.
Dragon copies, go in 6.3.
We are targeting our welcome ceremony to begin at 10:30 a.m. Central Time this morning. If you're just joining us, Crew-7 docked to the International Space Station at 8:16 a.m. Central following their launch yesterday evening from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It was almost a 30-hour ride to orbit, but the hatches were opened at 9:58 a.m. Central. We did see Crew-7 float aboard the International Space Station, their home for the next 6 months, and we are standing by for that welcome ceremony to begin less than 15 minutes from now.
SpaceX Dragon, question on the LIO cartridge number. Cartridge 1 was the cartridge installed as the active, so which one do you want us to now put in the active slot?
Checking Dragon. I'll get you an answer in just a sec. And Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, you will put cartridge 1 back into the active slot, but sealed. So same cartridge that you just pulled out.
Okay, copy. We'll put cartridge 1 back in the active slot, sealed.
Good readback.
Everything looking good for our welcoming ceremony. Still on track to begin just about 10 minutes from now at 10:30 a.m. Central. And floating into the field of view is NASA astronaut Woody Hoburg. Again, he was prime in the hatch opening operations earlier this morning. Also in the frame are Roscosmos cosmonauts Dmitry Petelin and Andrei Fedyaev. And this view back inside Endurance as Crew-7 works to get everything squared away ahead of the welcoming ceremony. We can see the Crew-7 mission commander, Jasmine Mugbelly, there in the bottom of the screen. This is Mugbelly's first trip to space. And here we can see two members of Crew-7, Jasmine Mugbelly with her back to us, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Andy Mogensen. Looks like they're continuing to step through those procedures to configure the LiO, or lithium hydroxide cartridge. The LiO cartridge helps scrub carbon dioxide inside the Dragon capsule on the ride to the International Space Station.
SpaceX Dragon LiO cartridge is sealed and installed.
SpaceX copies LiO sealed at 1524 Zulu. And Dragon, have a couple quick reminders for you if you have a minute.
Yeah, go for Dragon.
So first off, the suits have completed their 1-hour drying period. We just wanted to let you know for when you get back to 4.012. And then regarding inventory, I wanted to remind you that any partially consumed meals should be disposed of on ISS. How copy?
Copy. Our 1-hour timer is up, so when we get back, we can step into the appropriate section of 4.102 and copy any partially consumed meal should be disposed of on ISS.
Good read back, Dragon. And finally, we're going to be handing over comm to Houston. It was a pleasure learning and flying with you, and we really hope you enjoy your time on station.
Hey, it's great working with you. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the backside.
All right, Orbit 1, great job today. Dragon safely to access. You're incoming. Happy with the handover. You release. Safe trip.
And you can see some of the Crew-7 members starting to make their way inside the International Space Station following that hatch opening at 9:58 a.m. We are targeting the welcome ceremony to begin in just about 4 minutes from now at 10:30 a.m. Central. And we are in a brief expected handover period between satellites, but will regain communications here shortly, and our video will return as well. If you're just joining us, Crew-7 docked to the International Space Station at 8:16 a.m. Central. We're standing by for a welcoming ceremony slated to begin in just a couple of minutes. Those hatches were opened at 9:58 a.m., at which point Crew-7 floated aboard the International Space Station. And at this time, they're just getting settled, making sure everyone is able to be seen in the view that you see here. 11 people now on board on the International Space Station. And there you have it. All 11 members on board the International Space Station as part of Expedition 69, standing by for our welcoming ceremony slated to begin just moments from now.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
Station, please begin your welcoming remarks.
Okay, on behalf of Expedition 69, welcome to the ISS, and it is an honor to have Crew-7 with us. Congratulations to the NASA and SpaceX teams. Amazing job once again on successfully and flawlessly getting our crewmates up here to us. So thank you so much. I'll now pass it off to the Expedition 69 commander, Sergey.
Good afternoon, everybody. Expedition 69 is very glad to greet new crewmates on International Space Station. First of all, I want to say congratulations for arriving. Congratulations with a successfully flight, launch, and docking. And I want to say for Satoshi and Andreas, welcome back on ISS. This is not first flight for you, but my extremely congratulations for Jasmine and Konstantin with your first flight. You became now the real astronaut and cosmonaut, and I believe this is will be so very significant event all your life. Welcome aboard, happy flight, and looking forward to together, work together. And Russian now. Поздравляем седьмой экипаж Дрэгона с успешным прибытием на станцию, стыковкой. Ждали вас очень сильно. Ждем работы совместной здесь на станции. И добро пожаловать на станцию повторно. Это для Эндриаса, Сатоши. Не первый раз уже летает. Но мои самые большие поздравления, конечно, для тех, кто первый раз летит в космос. Прилетел Жасмин и Константин. Константин у нас представитель набора 2018 года. Он первый, кто из этого набора полетел. И это такое большое событие для всего набора. Желаю двигаться дальше в этом же направлении. Удачи нам всем. Все, удачного полета. Спасибо, что наконец-то прилетели к нам. Next one.
Thank you, Sergey and Frank, for the welcome. It's so good to see all your smiling faces. As you know, we've been training together for a while for this exact moment where we could join you and continue the amazing work that's done on the International Space Station. I want to echo the thanks to all the teams, SpaceX, NASA, ESA, JAXA, Roscosmos, and CSA for preparing us for this moment. I think we represent a good crew to be coming to the International Space Station. And I know for three of you, you've seen a lot of different crew come through. So we hope you teach us how to do things efficiently and effectively. And we're proud to join this team.
Yeah, I can only echo Jasmine's words. We are incredibly happy and proud to be on board the space station with Expedition 69. We're looking forward to an incredible mission. Personally, I'm looking forward to continuing the work of the last many ESA astronauts. I have a lot of European experiments and Danish experiments, and I want to thank ESA for all of their hard work in preparing to get me here. And also everyone involved in Denmark. This is going to be a fantastic mission. And finally, just a few personal words til Cecilie, Emily, Frederik og Jakob. Jeg håber, I ser med. Jeg ved ikke, om I er på vej tilbage til Houston fra Florida, men jeg håber, I nød opsendelsen, og jeg glæder mig så meget til at tale med jer snart og se jer igen. Hej, jeg elsker jer.
I'm very happy to be on the International Space Station, and I'm very excited to work in this brilliant international team. 日本の皆さん、仕事場である国際宇宙ステーションに着きました。この素晴らしい国際クルーの中で確実に仕事をしていきたいと思います。こうしちゃ
Yeah, it's possible. I'm glad that I didn't ruin this first time. Very excited to be here. It's so hard to explain the feeling of seeing these guys here floating so easily. Very excited, looking forward to long duration flight. And also, I want to point out again how important it is to work together in unity. And this is International Space Station. We are the most international SpaceX flight. Right now, you see 5 nationalities here, and we are looking forward to work together, continue ISS 79 and ISS 70 expeditions. Now a few words in Russian. Очень рад здесь быть. Спасибо большое. Всех очень приятно видеть. Здесь такая домашняя атмосфера. Неожиданно просторно после того, как мы летели на корабле. Очень благодарен всем, кто участвовал в подготовке к полету. Все агентства и Роскосмос, НАСА, Европейское и Японское космическое агентство. Отдельное спасибо SpaceX за корабль, за то, как мы классно долетели. Неожиданно легко. Я ожидал, что будет тяжелее. И своему набору, вот то, что Сергей говорил, 2018 года, ждем всех здесь. Надеюсь, что будет такая передача эстафетной палочки безостановочная, в которой мы все окажемся скоро на МКС. Спасибо всем большое.
All right, welcome to the team, and great words. Thank you so much once again to the NASA team, the SpaceX team, and to all the agencies. What an amazing crew. We look forward to the next few months, and we're going to have a lot of fun together.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
And there you have it, a truly international crew now aboard the International Space Station. It has been an incredible few hours, and it's so great to see Crew-7 on board safely. In our welcoming ceremony, each of them spoke about what it took to get to this moment to welcome 4 new astronauts to the space station, bringing the current population on board to 11 human beings as part of Expedition 69. We have been with you from the very beginning. We saw a spectacular launch at 2:27 a.m. Central on Saturday morning. Following liftoff, the first stage separated and came back to Earth, landing on the recovery ship, while Dragon separated from the second stage. We had a good nose cone deploy, and several major burns took place as Dragon made its way to the space station. Finally, Endurance and its 4-person crew docked to the space station at 9:58 a.m. Central and floated through the hatch at 9:58 a.m., officially bringing them to their new home for the next 6 months. It's been an incredible 24 hours watching this mission, and on behalf of SpaceX and NASA, thank you for watching it all unfold with us. The 7th rotational crew mission has reached the International Space Station and will spend approximately 6 months docked to the orbiting lab until it's time for the crew to come home. So with that, now that Crew-7 has successfully arrived to Space Station, be sure to follow NASA and SpaceX on social media for real-time updates throughout their mission. Thanks again for watching our coverage. Go NASA, go SpaceX, and go Crew-7. This is Mission Control Houston.